I never created a business where I depended on people who I knew to support me to be successful. And that's where a lot of people kind of go into business. They'll have an idea or an opportunity, and the first thing they do is they try to get their family and friends and their inner circles and their concentric circle of people to buy into what they're doing. And what happens is you become dependent on people who you know, which you only know so many people. You only know so many people. And that's not how you are successful in business. So whenever I create something or start a new business, I don't even do it with family and friends in mind to support it. I build a business based on the audience that I'm trying to connect with within that operation. And I make sure that I deliver a product, I deliver goods, I deliver services that appeal to them.
Two, three, go for it!
The sweet sound of victory after a year of fighting for his life. Max Bozeman is still here.
I've beaten cancer. This has been a life-changing moment and experience for me. I'll never look at life the same again.
The soul food chef opened the Greasy Spoon just a few months before the pandemic. Instagram posts allow us to see how the father of three hustled to adjust. Then in June, the Houston native was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. The physical toll so overwhelming for the weightlifter, he temporarily closed his restaurant.
And from that moment on, I laced up my boots to fight.
Max lost 40 pounds, endured chemo and radiation before having surgery in October.
And even when I wanted to give up, my family doesn't even know. It's times when I came here to treatment, and I told them I'm not coming back.
But he did. Max suffered through 6 more months of chemo, which ended Monday.
Welcome to Workshop Wednesday. Welcome to We Work Every Day. 7 days a week, cause we striving towards a better day. Don't cut me down for showing my true colors. Love me for me, cause I show love to others. This is for entrepreneurship, for Black Lives Matter. This is for the ones who are forgotten. I pray we never go backwards. This is for pushing forward in the face of adversity. Thank you, God, for protection when the world was cursing me. This is for strength, courage, and wisdom. They can't keep us in shackles. You're the one that could change the trajectory of those family matters. Be the first college grad, be the first millionaire. Be your own wildest dreams, cause the world ain't fair.
Good afternoon and welcome to another Workshop Wednesday. I am Dr. Kiki, your hostess with the mostest, and we have none other than Max Bozeman here, the owner of the Greasy Spoon, that is going to come in and give us something in regards to food, faith, and family. He has accomplished so much within his 37 years, and being a young entrepreneur has so much in terms of wisdom to give us on today. So with no further ado, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, what brought you to the work that you're currently doing in the area of entrepreneurship, faith, and last but not least, I see your beautiful girls posted all over Facebook. Family. What brought you to that?
Well, so as you mentioned, I'm 37. I've been blessed to be a part of a family and come from a lineage of what we call nowadays movers and shakers. But for the most part, everything that I have is innately in me. It was nothing that I did on my own in regards to how my mind has been trained to be what it is. I've been groomed since a kid, basically to set the foundation to become everything that I am now. And so I don't take it for granted. I wasn't given anything tangibly. Let me be clear about that. I was more so given exposure, which expanded my expectation. And so with that, I took, the exposure that I got as a kid, the people that I met, the relationships that my family made sure they connected me with. I took that and I leveraged off of it and continued to grow and build my own personal individual empire and business brand. And so I started my first company at 19. I was going to Texas Southern University at the time. I ended up doing so well in my business that I had to stop going to school. And so, and from that point on, I never stopped. I've had about 10 companies since 19. And so some I still have now, others I've sold, or some even failed. And so now, it's just who I am. The entrepreneur is who I am. Everything about the way that I think, the way that I move, is all to create a um, or create an opportunity for others as far as being able to staff and employ other people, especially young people, especially young Black people, as well as um, creating an opportunity to meet a lot of people, be a blessing to other families, like in a restaurant business. You know, food is good for the soul, and everything that happens around the table is good conversation, and it's families, you know, having dinner together, and they having dinner together over my food. And so it's just all connected to each other. Um, and so at this point in my life, though, I'll say this. There's nothing that I do now, or I should say everything that I do now has to have purpose beyond profit. And so I'm no longer in business just to make money. Um, I've made money, and and that's good. You're supposed to make money as an entrepreneur, but now for me, I understand that there's a greater purpose for my life. Um, I've always been, I'm a Christian man of faith, and I've always, had a certain moral compass that guided me, for sure. But now, more intentionally, I'm not chasing the bag anymore. Really, the bag is at the point now where it's chasing me, which is a blessing. And I don't accept all bags. There has to be a purpose connected to everything that I do, whether that is, what kind of blessing that am I able to be to the person that I'm doing business with. How am I able to employ other people and be a blessing to families where they can, buy their families homes and cars and have insurance, and you know it's not just me making money anymore. It's I care about people. People are my primary, objective at this point in my life. And so it's been a great journey, and it's growing and continuing to get better every day, every year. And I'm excited about what's to come in regards to my entrepreneur journey. In regards to my faith, uh, like I said, I'm a PK, I'm a preacher's kid. My dad, he's a preacher. My uncle's a preacher and a pastor, and so my uncle is Bishop James Dixon II. Well, he was one of the persons that made sure as I grew up, like he's the person I was around the most. And because of his commitment to community, his commitment to, social issues, and his commitment to being the church outside of the church, that's what kind of made me uh, what I am today in regards to how I care about people, and how we put other people before even our own selves. And so, it's not by coincidence that I give the way that I give. I donate the way that I donate. My philanthropy is what it is because I've seen it all in my life. And it's because, my whole purpose and goal is to make sure that people see the God in me. If they don't see it anywhere else, then I have to at least make sure that when they come in contact with Max the second, when they hear Max the second, when they see Max the second, when they visit one of Max the Second's businesses, it's something about what we present, what I present, that lets them know that love is real, compassion is real, and ultimately God is real. In regards to my family, I do have three beautiful kids. I have two daughters and one son. Um, I'm single. Um, and I do a great job, raising my kids, co-parenting, and it's the most beautiful thing in the world for me. Especially kind of going through my health challenge right now. They're the ones who keep me driven. They're the ones who keep me inspired to not give up. And so I'm excited about them and their future. And I intentionally make sure that I do in them, what my family did for me, and even on another level. And so, you learn one or two ways. You learn by seeing what works for people, and then you learn by seeing what didn't work, and then you make the adjustment to make sure you do the opposite. And so I'm glad that I got the best that my family could give me based on what they knew and what they had. And I'm able to take now the best that they were able to give me and add that to what I know now, which basically makes me be able to give the best to my kids, and that's the fortunate thing about, really having or coming from a lineage and coming from a family that set the bar. I'm able to make sure that my ceiling becomes my children's floor. So
I love what you said about making sure your ceiling becomes their floor. That is an amazing comment, because we work so hard to break those generational barriers. And what you
right.
said was amazing. So you said you left college at 19 because your business became so successful and you just took that leap of faith. I know that I have another question, but just out of curiosity, what was that business at 19?
So it's funny because where our church is, which is Acres Home area on Piedmont, like my family, we basically own the whole street, right? And so as a kid, it was a strip center. That's the one strip center on the street that we did not own. Well, as a kid, it was a grocery or convenience store rather in that strip center. And so me being at church 3 or 4 days a week, I don't know, you know how it is when you're growing up. You're at church almost every day of the week. And so this store, I used to walk over across the street to the store as a kid, like for many years. And so of course I grew a good relationship with the owner of the store, which he's Pakistani. And so I told him when I was in high school that one day I would buy that store from him. And the only reason I even had that mindset because I know that my family owns everything else. With church, we own all of it. We own the strip centers, the apartment complexes, the subdivisions. And so we developed. And so in my mind, I saw that this was one place that we did not have ownership over. And so I told him, I said, one day I'm going to buy the store from you. And he called me one day and said, "Hey, Max, you remember, you told me you wanted the store." He said, "Well, I want to sell it. I want to sell it to you." And that was the start of it. And I went from that to buying the gas station on the corner of the street, which is at Piedmont and Shepherd, and which is right up the street from the store. And it just never stopped from there. I just kept going on and on and on. And so I basically took what I was going to school for, which was business management, and literally like started living business management like in real life, And so I had to learn as I went. I had to fail. I had to make some mistakes. I had to, figure it out, toughen my skin up at times and learn through betrayal, and learn through failures. And that's what ultimately like molded me into what I am now at 37 years old.
That's a great point you mentioned. And it leads me to the next question. What are some of the current challenges that you see in this area of entrepreneurship, while likewise identifying as an African American male in society? Because, we've had all of these recent events from the insurrection at the Capitol to George Floyd, a native Houstonian, to all of these things that have taken place. And you coming from a legacy of African Americans that have defied all odds. So, what are some of those challenges that you see in entrepreneurship while identifying as an African American male? Because you mentioned some things as you were talking about what you learned in business.
Yeah, and so I think that one thing that I have to be transparent about. So my great grandfather, Titus Barnes, he was the owner of the number one black funeral home probably in the state of Texas, if I'm not mistaken. It's called Barnes Funeral Home, which is still here today in the Heights. He sold it many years ago, probably over 20, 30 years ago. He sold it, and so I was able to see things from a different perspective from being a little toddler, to seeing my uncles, do what they did, and so I see the changes that have happened over the years, over the decades, and for me now, the foundation had been set, but like you said, so many things have changed, in the entrepreneur world, especially for black men, especially young black men. And one of the challenges I think that are probably the most prevalent um, would be more so education. Like we don't know as a whole, as a collective. We don't take, and when I say education, so I I dropped out of college, but it's a quote by Mark Twain. He said, "I never let schooling interfere with my education." And so just because I stopped going to school doesn't mean I stopped getting educated. I made that priority. And so I read books. I'm an avid reader. And so I read books of people who were doing what I was aspiring to do. I studied individuals. I looked at, videos, and, I was under the tutelage of people. People don't even know that they were my teacher because they're like some big famous author or something, right? But I'm literally studying these persons. And so I always continue to get education. It was this number one priority, and I still do to this day. And so for me, I think as entrepreneurs, we have like whatever idea we have in our mind, and it's not, far fetched. Everybody thinks that whatever idea they have is the best idea, right? They know everything, and that's good. That's cool. But it's so much more that we have to learn in regards to business and the whole dynamic. It's bigger than just supply and demand. Um, it's more psychological than anything else. And so like if you don't understand like the concept of like what's the psyche of the customer that I'm trying to reach, and I'm saying we just gotta like continue to learn. And I think we stop learning when we get to a certain point. And or what happens is what we did not learn or what we did learn that may not have been correct as young people, we carry that into our adulthood, which spills over into our entrepreneurial journey. And it's hard to unlearn an adult, which is why I said I had to be transparent about I didn't have to unlearn a lot of stuff because a lot of what I experienced was like really good, and so I was able to use that and build on. Well, that's not the average person. And I didn't even realize that until my 20s. I thought that everybody just knew what I knew. I thought that everybody had the perspective that I had in regards to business. I thought everybody was exposed to, I thought everybody was supposed to be millionaires. I just thought that was just normal life. And so I didn't realize until like dealing with my own staff that Max, these people, they may have come up different than you. They didn't have the same opportunity to be exposed to, this business person and this politician and this billionaire and this person, to have dinner with this person, listen to conversations to get wisdom. And so I had to realize that, like, look, we got to keep learning. We got to keep growing, individually as entrepreneurs, because it's always a model somewhere. There's always going to be a model. And if you find out and seek the wisdom and the information of people who are already doing what you are aspiring to do, then you get a good learning curve. and that was my secret to success at a very young age. Like, I knew how to get the learning curve because I was okay with not going out. I was okay with not going to the club, on certain weekends. I was okay with staying in and reading and studying and it's just thinking, and writing and journaling. And so I was okay with that, because I knew that what I was after was more important, than temporary gratification. I didn't want, I knew that I had to keep learning. And so I think, and I tell entrepreneurs I just left a meeting just now, and I was meeting with a restaurant owner and who needed advice. And I told her, you have to keep learning. And so I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to entrepreneurs, to understand that. And the second thing is, I never created a business where I depended on people who I knew to support me to be successful. And that's where a lot of people kind of go into business. They'll have an idea or an opportunity, and the first thing they do is they try to get their family and friends and their inner circles and their concentric circle of people to buy into what they're doing. And what happens is you become dependent on people who which you only know so many people. You only know so many people. And that's not how you are successful in business. So whenever I create something or start a new business, I don't even do it with family and friends in mind to support it. I build a business based on the audience that I'm trying to connect with within that operation. And I make sure that I deliver a product, I deliver goods, I deliver services that appeal to them. Now, of course, my family is going to support. My friends are going to support. Some will support. But even if they don't, I know that they're not my lifeline. And so I think that's very, very important for entrepreneurs to understand that this is not a hobby. This is not something that you do to make sure that you're able to meet a friend's need or a family need. No, you need to meet the needs of thousands of people that you don't know and who don't know you, and figure out, how do I connect with the thousands rather than the tens that are within my family. And if you start there, then you won't miss it. You'll hit your mark every time. And as far as being especially Black, in these, turbulent times, it's even more difficult. But to be honest with you, I'm aware. I'm not naive, right? I'm not naive by far, but I don't allow that to play into my psyche. Now, outside, I'm able to compartmentalize business from personal. And so personally, as a Black man, I'm very, very concerned. I'm very, very concerned. And I have issues at times. And I have conversations with my uncle and different people where it brings me to tears because of how concerned I am. But from a business perspective, I'm just at a place now to where I can honestly compartmentalize. And I turn that off, my personal thoughts about being a young Black man in business. And I look at myself as just an esteemed, successful business person that has all people from all walks of life, white, Black, Hispanic, Asian, they all are customers of mine, or clients of mine. And whether they know I'm the owner or not, but I make sure that I present my business at a level of excellence to where I'm still able to meet the needs of the people who are supporting or who are patronizing my businesses. So
that is very good information. I feel like I'm in a master's class right now. I'm learning so much in regards to entrepreneurship from you. But you're exactly right in terms of just learning those lessons. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Continue to support Workshop Wednesday and continue to encourage all those that you see to press forward during this time. Thank you for tuning in. Dr. Kiki signing out. Stay tuned on next week where we will bring you more of H-Town's finest. Take care. God bless.
This is for strength, courage, and wisdom. They can't keep us in shackles. You're the one that could change the trajectory of those family matters. Be the first college grad, be the first millionaire. Be your own wildest dreams, cause the world ain't fair.
I am the greatest, I am the one. Lead the way.